Welcome to another GoldMine 101, our regular series of short presentations giving you hints and tips for getting the most out of GoldMine CRM. And in this session, I'm going to cover the relationship tree feature in GoldMine. How do you use GoldMine to give you that visual picture of all of the related contacts within a customer organization? So hello, my name is Tim Wilmot, Wizard Systems. My company, Wizard Systems, we're a specialist CRM solutions provider. And we help out mainly small and mid-sized organizations help improve their sales productivity, marketing, and customer service through easy to use and affordable solutions like GoldMine. Now, this presentation, this event will be about a quarter of an hour or so in duration, just an overview of the relationship tree feature. There can be quite a bit to it as regards all the different options you've got around it. And my company, Wizard Systems, we do offer extensive GoldMine training options if you want to explore that with us, but this is just a general overview of this feature. Now, the audio part of this presentation is one way only. If you've got a question, please pop that into the question box on your meeting control panel. I'll do my best to answer that at the end. And also at the end, I'll give you an update on some GoldMine product news for you, as we normally do on these 101 sessions, give you a little bit of extra knowledge of a standard feature of GoldMine, but also keep you up to date on the GoldMine scene, on the GoldMine roadmap, and new versions coming along there. This call is being recorded as well. You will get an email from our system afterwards. Those listening live, you will get an email from the system with a link to recording, and it will be up on our YouTube channel as well, where you will see up on our GoldMine channel. If you just do a search for Wizard Systems on YouTube, you'll see our channel up there. And there's a GoldMine playlist where you can see lots of other GoldMine videos. Just a brief mention. I know most of you that are listening live right now are familiar with us, but we are a long-standing supplier implementer of GoldMine solutions. We've been doing it a long time. We've implemented well over 3,000 installations in that time, and we provide everything that you need around GoldMine, the product, upgrades, popular add-ons to GoldMine, any kind of training that you want. The training can be your place, our place, near Bristol, UK, or we can do it online with you, and also ongoing technical support as well. Okay, let's go into the relationship tree feature then. GoldMine is essentially a contact-centric system. So the fundamental record in GoldMine is a record of a contact. And then the question might be, well, how do you, so you have a contact within a company, but then you gather a second and a third contact at the same organization. How do you use GoldMine to track those people, those individual people, yet recognize that they are part of an organization? Now, there are a few ways of doing this. You could have 3 separate contact records for that company. You could have one record for the company and then use the additional contacts tab to record those, the second and third and then all the other contacts there. But if you want to track more detailed information about those individual contacts, if that's really important to you, not necessarily the company information, but the contact information, the way that you're dealing with those people, then you want to maintain separate contact records for all of the key people within that company. And the relationship tree gives you that way of visually seeing all of those people linked to an organization, yet we are tracking them as separate contact records. And if you like, the relationship tree is that visual thing, that hierarchical view of that company, the family tree of that company. And it acts like a little bit of glue that's linking all those contacts together. So on your tab bar running across the contact record, by default, you will see the relationships tab. If you don't see it, then of course you can click on that little down arrow there on the left-hand side and you'll be able to display it if it's not displayed already. I've got a relationship created already. I'll describe to you shortly how that was done, but this is one I've created already. And this is a simple tree. This is basically what it looks like. So you've got the name of the organization at the top, and then you can have different sections within that tree. I've only got one to keep it nice and simple, and 3 contacts within that section. Now, when you create the tree in GoldMine, these sections by default, they're called employees, but you can change it to whatever name you want. I've just clicked into that twice, and I can now overwrite employees if I want to call it something different, like the name of that site or their job role. Or to be honest with you, it can be whatever you want it to be, but you need to make sure if you're starting to use a relationship tree, if you start changing these terms, you want to be consistent in the way that you do that. To add people into the tree, very simple. I just right click. As in most things in GoldMine, if you click on something and then click on the right-hand mouse button, that will display a little local menu, and that will allow you to present to the user a number of different options there. So there's the new contact where we can add in an existing contact from your GoldMine database, or you could create a new contact and at the same time add them to that section of the tree. Now, once that tree has been created, apart from that visual display of that person and where they are and the fact that they work for Test Manufacturing Limited, there are some other very useful little features that GoldMine gives you. Now, against each of those contact records, and this can probably be the most important one, against each of those individual contact records, as you are recording things, you're sending emails, receiving emails, creating notes, storing documents, and so on. They're all stored on those separate contact records, of course. But how do you stand back and look at the big picture of this organization and everything that's going on? And so one of the nicest features of the relationship tree is the roll-up feature there. So once you've highlighted a section or the whole company, you can click on roll up, or you can right click over that section or right click over that tree, and you've got there roll up the section's contacts. And what that does is it consolidates all of the information across those separate tabs where you might see separate information relating to that contact. So if, for example, I go to the pending tab, that will now show me all of the information consolidated against all of those separate contact records on one screen. And you've got there that little button there to deactivate. If you just want to suddenly see, just show me the stuff for Fred, I could just click on that deactivate button and straight away it's done. Okay, so a nice little feature there to roll up within a section and get that consolidated view, and you you click on those tabs and you can see all that information there. A couple of other things. There's the activate button. What that does, it works a little bit like a filter or a group. It's activating that section. So you could then go on and run a report or a mail merge or something like that, and that would then just relate to those specific contacts within that section. The other option is replicate data. That's the third thing I want to mention to you. What happens if, let's assume all of these people work at the same site. They've got the same manager. They've got the same main phone number. What happens if they suddenly move, or some information about that organization changes, and you want to then change all of the other affected records, because remember, they are all sort of separate contact records yet linked together via the relationship tree feature. So that replicate data function, what that does is you change the information on the top record, so Fred Test, for example, and then replicate data that will allow you to then replicate that field change down through, just takes a split second. It's a bit like a global replace, if you're familiar with that in GoldMine. Really useful to update one record and then have that copied across all of the other related records within that section or within that complete organization tree. All right, so quite a nice feature there. That pretty much is it with the relationship tree in GoldMine. Really simple to use. A nice feature of GoldMine if you are working, really useful if you're working with lots of contacts within an organization, or you're dealing with large organizations. There could be multiple people you need to keep a track of to see all those relationships there. So let me just now answer any questions you've got around this feature, if you've got any questions, or indeed any general GoldMine questions as well. First question from Christine. Once created, can you protect the tree so nobody can change it? Well, you have in GoldMine the record ownership feature that will physically hide or protect a record, but within the organization tree itself, let me just pop back to GoldMine. Within the organization tree itself, you've got little properties or options. That's where you could define whether you want to restrict read access or the ability of users, that second option there, to change information. So that's what GoldMine gives you there, Christine. Hopefully that answers your question. Next question from Ray. How do you change the sort order of contacts in the tree? I want the boss at the top. I want the boss at the top. Yeah, within the tree, within a section, they are alphabetically listed by their contact name. You can drag and drop, but within that section, you unfortunately can't change it, Ray. The only thing that you could do is maybe create a new section of the manager, and then maybe a section off of that. So the top of the section is the manager, and then a section after that are all the people that report into that manager. That would be, if you visually want to have that, Ray, that would be the best way of doing it. So a little kind of a two-step process there. But within the section I showed you where I had my three contacts, they were sorted by alphabetical order of their contact names. So you can't change that within that section. Right, I don't think there's any more questions coming through. Thanks, both of you, for that. Just a little bit of information on GoldMine then to wrap things up with the latest release of GoldMine. So there are, through the year, there are releases, major releases of GoldMine. We're on 2022 now. And within that major release, there are hot fixes, sort of more minor updates that very often fix any issues with GoldMine that have been discovered recently by the user base, and also some minor enhancements as well. So we're on hotfix 3 at the moment, and you can go in GoldMine, you can go to help and about, or when you log in on the login banner, you will see what version you're on. So check that out. It's always a good idea to be on the latest release, because as well as benefiting from new features and functions within GoldMine, there are often compatibility improvements as well. So when you buy a new laptop, when you buy a new server, you've got to be mindful, will applications on that device still function correctly? And that's important for GoldMine because it's installed on a server somewhere. So you have to be careful of that. So the latest release is 2022, and it's hotfix 3. The way of getting updates, the only way of getting updates, is to have an annual maintenance contract for GoldMine. That's what it's called. And Wizard Systems do provide this for you. And if you're out of maintenance, you would have had it when you initially purchased GoldMine. But if you want to get back on board with maintenance, there are some special offers around in the month of September 2022. So please contact Wizard Systems for more information on updates and how they are applied. Well, that's me done for this session then on the relationship tree in GoldMine. If you've got any useful or any interesting suggestions for future topics, please email me, Tim Wilmot, tim@wizard-systems.com. We would love to hear from you on future sessions. So thanks, those of you listening live. There's quite a few of you listening live on the session. And catch up with you next time when we'll cover another interesting GoldMine topic. Thanks so much indeed. Bye-bye.